From the tri-state area of Illinois, Missouri, and Kentucky, Toups Graphics brings you another video. Crossing the Mississippi and Ohio rivers, Toups Graphics will teach you how to factor polynomials. To factor a polynomial, you'll simplify the terms of the polynomial by dividing the GCF into each term. One reason why you factor a polynomial is that it reduces the size of the exponents, so you can eventually solve for the variable in the polynomial. To be able to factor, you must work with a GCF, or greatest common factor. You first started working with GCFs when you reduced fractions in 5th grade. To find the GCF to simplify 12 over 18, we must first prime factor 12 and 18. The prime factors of 12 would be 2, 2, and 3, and the prime factors of 18 would be 2, 3, and 3. If you were to circle the common factors, you would circle a pair of 2's and a pair of 3's, and 2 times 3 would be 6. 6 would be the GCF, and if you were to divide 12 and 18 by 6, you would get the simplified fraction of 2 over 3. Now let's look at the fraction 20x to the third over 36x to the fifth. 20x to the third would prime factor to 2 times 2 times 5 and 3 x's. Meanwhile, the factors of 36 are 2, 2, 3, 3, and 5 x's. Now, if you were to circle the common factors, you would circle 2 pairs of 2's and 3 pairs of x's. That means our GCF would be 4x to the third. Now, if you were to take out or divide 2, 2, and 3 x's from the numerator and denominator, you would be left with 5 over 3 times 3 and 2 x's. That would give you a simplified answer of 5 over 9x to the second power. A good rule to remember when factoring: the smallest exponent of your common variable will be in your GCF. Now let's see if we can factor 20x to the third plus 8x squared plus 16x. First, you need to find the GCF of the coefficients of 28 and 16, which would be 4. Now look, each term has an x. The smallest exponent of x is the understood one. That means our GCF would be 4x. Now we can divide 4x into each term to simplify the polynomial. To get our answer, we'll start by putting the GCF of 4x to the left and start with the parentheses. Now we'll divide each term by 4x and put the answers inside the parentheses. We'll start by dividing 20x to the third by 4x. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Now we'll divide x to the third by x. You remember, when you divide, you subtract the exponents. X to the third divided by x to the 1 would be x to the second power. Now we'll divide 8x squared by 4x. 8 divided by 4 would be a positive 2. And x to the second divided by x would be x to the 1, or just x. Now we'll divide 16x by 4x. 16 divided by 4 would be 4, and the x's would cancel out. So if you factored 20x to the third plus 8x squared plus 16x, you would get 4x times 5x squared plus 2x plus 4. Notice that if we perform the distributive property on our answer, we would go back to the original problem. Remember also that when you factor polynomials, you will divide the GCF into each term and subtract your exponents. Now it's your turn as we go over the Rainbow Bridge over the Neches River in Bridge City, Texas. See if you can factor 12x to the third minus 30x squared plus 18x by dividing each term by the GCF. The first thing we need to do is find the GCF. First, we need to look at our coefficients of 12, 30, and 18. The largest number that divides into 12, 30, and 18 would be 6. Now we can look at each term and see that each term has a variable of x. That means you'll put x into the GCF. The smallest exponent is the understood one, so the GCF would be 6x. Since the GCF is 6x, we'll divide each term of the polynomial by 6x. We'll start by putting 6x and start a parentheses. Now we'll divide each term by 6x. 12x to the third divided by 6x, 12 divided by 6 would be 2. We'll put down an x, and when you divide, you subtract the exponent, so we'll have 2x to the second power. Now we'll divide 30x squared by 6x. A negative 30 divided by 6 would be a negative 5. Now we'll divide the variables of x squared and x, subtract the exponents, you'll get x to the 1 or the understood x. Now, lastly, we'll divide 18x by 6x. 18 divided by 6 would be a positive 3. Now, if you divide x by x, they eliminate into a quantity of 1. That gives us the answer as 6x times the quantity of 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. This tutorial video of factoring polynomials is sponsored by Polynomial. Do you have the sum or difference of monomials? You have a polynomial. Quadratic. Do you have a polynomial that has a largest exponent of 2? It's going to be a quadratic function. And slope. It's the difference of y's over the difference of x's. And it's also the common difference of a linear function. We'll return after this commercial break. Aren't these direct variation tater tot deals just swell?
Yeah. Yes, it is. You can use a constant of variation to find the cost of your tater tots.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could get the Sissy Sue side order of 4 tots for 60 cents.
Whoa. Sissy Sue, nah. You can get a regular side of 9 tater tots for $1.35. Or hypothetically, you can get a supersize side order with 14 tater tots for $2.10 plus tax.
Wow. I think I'm going to get the Mega Manly Man side order with 20 tots for $3.
Hey, did you know that if you divide the price by the number of tots, you always get 15 cents?
That's right, boy. And that 15 cents is called the constant of variation.
And if you were to make a graph of the ordered pair, it would be a line that goes through the origin.
Through the origin?
Through the origin.
And get this, your table of ordered pairs would also be proportional. Any set of cross products would be equivalent. You know, if you come back here later and tip your car hop with a tip that varies directly with your bill, you just might get a date.
Oh.
The direct variation tater tot deals, only at Sonic. The Toups graphics always believe tutorial video over factoring polynomials continues from Interstate 40 East in Arkansas heading to Memphis, Tennessee. Let's see if you could factor these two problems. 10x squared y to the 5th minus 25x cubed y to the 4th plus 15x to the 4th y cubed, and factor 16x to the 5th minus 40x to the 4th plus 24x cubed. Let's do the top problem first. First, we need to find the GCF of 10, 25, and 15. That would be 5. Now we look at the variables. All the terms contain an x and a y, so x and y will also be in the GCF. Now we look at the exponents. The smallest exponent on x is 2, and the smallest exponent on y is 3. That would be our exponent. That means we need to divide each term by 5x squared y cubed. Let's start with 10x squared y to the 5th divided by 5x squared y to the 3rd. 10 divided by 5 would be 2, so our coefficient would be 2. Now we need to subtract the exponents. The exponents of 2 with the x would cancel out, and y to the 5th minus y to the 3rd would be y squared. So the 2 would have y to the 2nd as a variable. Now we'll divide the negative 25x cubed y to the 4th by 5x squared y to the 3rd. Negative 25 divided by 5 would be a negative 5. Now we'll subtract our exponents. The exponents on x are 3 and 2, which subtract to give us 1. X to the 1 is x. And the exponents on y are 4 and 3, which would also subtract to give us a 1, or y to the 1. Now we'll divide 15x to the 4th y to the 3rd by 5x squared y to the 3rd. 15 divided by 5 would be a positive 3. Now we'll subtract our exponents. The exponents on x are 4 and 2, which subtracts and give us x squared, and the y's would cancel out to a quantity of 1. That would give us an answer of 5x squared y to the 3rd times a quantity of 2y squared minus 5xy plus 3x to squared. Now let's do the bottom problem of factoring 16x to the 5th minus 40x to the 4th plus 24x cubed. First, we need to find the GCF of 16, 40, and 24. That would be 8. Each term has a variable of x, and the smallest exponent on our x is 3. That means our GCF would be 8x to the 3rd. In this problem, we won't show the fraction bars under each term. We'll just use the process of division with our GCF. First, we need to divide the coefficient of 16 by our GCF of 8. 16 divided by 8 would be 2. Now we'll subtract the exponents of 5 and 3 and get x to the 2nd power. Now we'll divide negative 40 by 8 and get negative 5. We'll subtract the exponents of 4 and 3 and get 1, or just x. Now we'll divide the coefficient of 24 by 8 and get positive 3. Notice that the exponents are the same, being 3, so the x's would cancel out, giving us an answer of 8x cubed times a quantity of 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. Now it's time for a word from our sponsors. The parent linear function. In this function, any value of x will equal the value of y, and it forms a diagonal line that goes through the origin. And the parent quadratic function. In the parent quadratic function, the y values repeat and are the squares of the x values. And the graph forms a parabola that opens up and crosses the y-axis at the origin. As we head eastbound on Interstate 40, the Toups Graphics Factoring Polynomials tutorial video continues. Now let's learn how to factor by grouping. Let's say you have the polynomial 4x times the quantity of x minus 2 plus 7 times the quantity of x minus 2. Notice that there's two x minus 2's. We could factor out the common x minus 2 to factor the polynomial. Notice how we're taking out the x minus 2's from the original problem. Now we'll write the quantities that are left, which are 4x plus 7. The factored answer would be x minus 2 times 4x plus 7. Now let's look at a trickier problem. Negative 5x times the quantity of x minus 2 minus 8 times the quantity of 2 minus x. Notice that x and 2 are in the common parentheses, but they're opposites. Let's look at what happens when you have opposite binomials. If you multiply the binomial by negative 1 and multiply the quantities inside the binomial by negative 1, you'll get the opposite of the binomial. That means if we take our original binomial of x minus 2 and multiply it by negative 1, we would get the 2 minus x, which is on the right of the negative 8. To make the binomials the same, we'll take the second quantity of 2 minus x and multiply it by negative 1. That would make it x minus 2, which is the same as the first binomial. Now we could factor out the common quantity of x minus 2. If we take the x minus 2's out, that would leave us negative 5x and negative 8 times negative 1. Negative 8 times negative 1 would be a positive 8. So we would have negative 5x plus 8 in our second parentheses. A good rule to remember is that when you factor an opposite out, your middle sign will change. Now it's your turn. As we approach Memphis, Tennessee, soon crossing over the Mississippi River, see if you can factor these two polynomials by grouping. Let's see how you did. In the first problem, 2x minus 7 is the common binomial we could factor out. If we were to factor out the 2x minus 7 from the problem and eliminate them, we would be left with 4x minus 5, which would go into the second parentheses. So 2x minus 7 times 4x minus 5 would be the answer if we factored by grouping. Now let's look at the next problem. Notice that the x plus 5 and negative x minus 5 are opposites. So when we factor this, the sign of positive 3 is going to change. To make the opposites the same, we'll multiply the second parentheses by negative 1, which will turn the negative x minus 5 into x plus 5. Now we can factor out the x plus 5s. Now we can factor out the x plus 5s, giving us x plus 5 times 5x minus 3. Notice that the positive 3 times a negative 1 will turn the plus 3 into a negative 3. This video is sponsored by Direct Variation. Do you have a table of values that are proportional? It has direct variation. And the constant of proportionality. If you divide the y terms by the x terms, you'll always get the same answer in a proportion. That number is called the constant of proportionality. And the letter K. K is used to represent the constant of proportionality, which is the same thing as a constant of variation. Aren't you glad Sonic came out with this new quadratic root meal deals?
Yes, sir. Think I'm going to get the x squared minus 7x plus 12 deal. 4 chicken strips for $3.
Well, I think I'm going to get the x squared minus 14x plus 24 deal. It comes with 12 tater tots for just $2.
Oh, that's a steal. You know what? Rain check on mine. I think I'm getting the x squared minus 9x plus 20. 5 mozzarella sticks for $4. And I get that drink.
That's a pretty good deal. It sure is nice. Sonic is offering meal deals to help you with your math.
Oh yeah. Even went back, pulled that stuff on my little card hop person. Got the digits. We got a study date. And we ain't studying school, if you know what I mean.
The quadratic root meal deal. Only at Sonic. Traveling southbound on Interstate 376 into Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Toups graphics video of factoring polynomials continues. Now we'll learn how to factor quadratics. Let's start by looking at x squared plus 5x plus 6. To do this, you'll learn the Pentagon T, more power, way to factor. Step 1 is to write the factors of the constant term. In this problem, 6 is our constant, and the factors of 6 are 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Step 2 is to draw the two sets of parentheses and drop the middle sign into the first parentheses. In this method, we'll always drop our middle sign into the first parentheses. Now we'll get the second sign in step 3. If the last sign is positive, the signs are the same. If the last sign's negative, the signs are going to be different. In this problem, the last sign's positive, so both signs will be plus. And finally, step 4 is to use the factors of 6 to add or subtract to get the middle coefficient of 5. In this problem, since the signs are the same, we need the factors of 6 that add up to 5, which are 2 and 3. Fill in the parentheses. X times x would be x squared, and put the largest factor in the first parentheses, so we'll place 3 into at the end. So x squared plus 5x plus 6 factors to x plus 3 times x plus 2. Now, using the same steps, let's see if we can factor x squared minus 5x minus 24. Step 1 would be to write the factors of 24 out. 24 would be 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. Step 2 is to draw the two sets of parentheses and drop the middle sign of minus into the first parentheses. Step 3 is to use the last sign to get the second parentheses. Since our last sign is minus, the signs will be different, so our signs will be minus and plus. Since the last sign's minus, we'll do step 4 and subtract to get the middle term of 5. 8 and 3 are the multiples of 24 that subtract and give us 5. That means the answer would be x minus 8 times x plus 3. Now it's your turn. See if you can factor x squared minus 11x plus 18 and x squared plus 5x minus 14. Let's do x squared minus 12x plus 18. The first step is to get the factors of 18, which are 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. The next step is to draw the parentheses and drop the middle sign of minus into the first parentheses. Step 3 is to use the last sign. In this problem, it's plus to get the second sign. Since our sign is positive, both signs will be minus. Since our signs are the same, we're going to add the factors of 18 to get the middle coefficient of 11. The factors of 18 that add to 11 are 9 and 2. Remember to put the largest factor first. That means our answer will be x minus 9 times x minus 2. Now we'll use the same steps to factor x squared plus 5x minus 14. Step 1 is to write the factors of the constant term of 14. The factors of 14 are 1 times 14 and 2 times 7. The next step is to draw the two parentheses and drop the middle sign of plus into the first parentheses. Step 3 means to use the second sign of minus to get our next sign. Since the last sign is minus 14, both signs in the parentheses will be different. So we'll put minus in the second parenthesis. Since the signs are different, we'll subtract the factors of 14 to get 5. The factors of 14 that subtract and get 5 are 7 and 2. We'll put our largest factor first, so the answer would be x plus 7 and x minus 2. Now a message from our sponsors. Today's video is sponsored by the X and Y intercepts. Did you know you could get the slope from the X and Y intercepts? The slope is the negative value of the y-intercept divided by the x-intercept. In this graph, the y-intercept is 4 and the x-intercept is negative 6. If you were to simplify negative 4 over negative 6, you would get 2 over 3. That means the line goes up 2 and over 3. The x and y-intercepts. It can be used to get the slope. The Toups Graphics Factoring Polynomial tutorial video continues as we travel down I-45 southbound through Houston, Texas. Now we'll learn how to factor a quadratic equation with a coefficient in front of the x squared. Let's start by factoring 5x squared plus 19x plus 12. We'll continue to use the same steps. The first step is to write the factors of our constant of 12. The factors of 12 are 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. The next step is to draw the parentheses and drop the middle sign. The next step would be to use the last sign of plus to get the next sign. Since the last sign's positive, both signs will be the same. Now we need to add another step. Step 4 is to write the factors of A. Put 2 blanks to the right of each factor. The factors of 5 are 1 and 5. We'll place 1 and 5 on top of each other and put 2 blanks to the right of the 1 and the 5. Now we'll do step 5. Step 5 is to put the factors of C into the blanks. Multiply those factors by 1 and 5. The answer should add or subtract to get B. In this problem, we want our answers to add and get 19. In this problem, if you put the factor of 3 by the 5 and the factor of 4 by the 1, the products of 1 and 4 and 5 and 3 would be 4 and 15. And indeed, 4 plus 15 adds up to 19. That brings us to our last step, step 6. Draw an X between the 1 and 5 and 4 and 3. The number to the left of the largest product, in this case 15's larger and 3's to the left, will go into the first parentheses. So the 1x and 3 would go into the first parentheses. Now we'll put 5 and 4, or 5x plus 4, into the next parentheses. That makes our answer x plus 3 and 5x plus 4. Now let's factor 3x squared plus 2x minus 16. Step 1 is to write the factors of 16, which are 1 and 16, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. Step 2 is to draw the parentheses and drop the middle sign into the first parentheses. Since our last sign's minus, the signs will be different. So in step 3, we'll use a minus in the second sign. The next step would be to write the factors of 3 down and put 2 blanks to the right. Now we need to use the factors of 16, put them to the right of 1 and 3, multiply, subtract the products, and get 2. This can be tricky. Just keep trying the combinations till the products subtract and get 2. In this problem, if you use the factors of 2 and 8 and put the 2 by the 3 and the 8 by the 1, the products would be 8 and 6. And indeed, 8 minus 6 would be the middle term of 2. Now we'll put an x between the 1 and 3 and 2 and 8. The largest product is 8. The number to the left of 8 is also 8. The 8 is paired with the x with the 3. So 3x plus 8 goes into the first parentheses. Since the 3x plus 8 goes in the first parentheses, the 1x and 2 will go in the second parentheses. That makes our answer 3x plus 8 times x minus 2. Now it's your turn. See if you can factor 2x squared minus 15x plus 28. Step 1 is to write the factors of 28, which are 1 times 28, 2 times 14, and 4 times 7. Step 2 is to draw the 2 parentheses and drop the middle sign into the first parentheses. Now we'll look at the last sign, which is plus. That means both signs will be the same, or both signs will be minuses. Now we'll write down the factors of 2, which are 1 and 2, and put 2 blanks to the right. Next, we need to use one set of the factors of 28, multiply them by 1 and 2, add and get 15. In this problem, we'll use the factors of 4 and 7. Put the 4 to the right of the 2 and the 7 to the right of the 1. The products would be 7 and 8. The next step is to draw an x between the 1 and 2 and 7 and 4. Since 8 is the largest product, 4 would go into the first parentheses paired with the 1x. So 1x and 4 go into the first parentheses. Since the 1x and 4 are in the left parentheses, the other pair of 2 and 7, or 2x and 7, would go into the second parentheses. That makes our answer x minus 4 times 2x minus 7. This video has been produced by Toups Graphics. Toups Graphics. Always believe.